Congrats! You've been invited to your first pharma sales interview. Now, I'm sure there are a lot of emotions running through your body right now. Excitement, nervousness, anticipation. So today, we're going to run through this round one interview and what to expect. Typically, there are two parts. Part one is getting to know you, and part two is behavioral questions. So typically, tell us a time when you ... If you're new here, my name's David Tong. And not too long ago, I was in a similar position to you, applying for my first role in pharma. With this channel, Finding Pharma, you're getting more than just advice. You're getting a mentor who's been in your shoes, who understands the different emotions and thoughts running through your mind. I've faced the rejections, navigated the challenges, and now I'm sharing everything to help you succeed. So as I said earlier, there's often two parts. Part one is getting to know you, but don't be fooled, because the hiring manager is judging and watching, listening to every response that you have. He or she wants to be convinced that you know what you're getting yourself into and that you're going to last in the role. Because for a hiring manager, their biggest fear is to bring someone into the team, into their business, and after 6 months, they call it quits. And then they have to repeat the whole hiring process again. It's costly, it takes a lot of time, energy, and it's just not good in general for the business. So to ace this first part, there are 3 key tips I have for you. Number 1, do your research. Number 2, connect with people in the industry. And number 3, go and speak to some doctors. Now you might be thinking, David, you make it sound so easy. How do I do those 3 things? Well, in terms of the first point on researching the industry and what the role entails, there is Finding Pharma. Almost every guest that I've interviewed has come from a sales background, and listening to their stories, their perspectives will help you understand the different terminology that is used in the pharma world. For example, what is an MSL? What is a HSR? What is a pod? So definitely check out some of those guest interviews, because having senior leaders come onto the channel to give their wisdom and experience is super difficult given how busy their schedules are. So take full advantage of that. But if there's one episode in particular that I can highlight, it's the episode where I look at why GP sales could be your dream role. I'll leave a link to that in the description of this video so you can find it. And if you're still not sure what an MSL is, what a HSR is, how pod rotations work, leave a comment below and I'll be sure to answer it for you. Now, point number 2, around connecting. Whatever role you are interviewing for, go onto LinkedIn and search for that company and add in the role title. So for example, Boehringer Ingelheim Primary Care Sales Rep. And you'll see a list of people come up. Connect with them, send them an invite, and let them know and explain to them who you are. Look, my name's David. I'm applying for my first primary care role. I'd love to catch up for coffee or give you a quick 15-minute phone call to understand more about the role. What are some of the challenges that you're facing? What do you love about the role? And on top of that, you might have questions after doing step 1, which is your research, where maybe Finding Pharma didn't answer your questions and I didn't get back to your comments. They would be the best person to ask. One particular question that I would really want to ask them is, what's the team culture like? What's the organization culture like? What's the manager like? Because that'll play a big part in setting you up for success and ensuring that you are enjoying your role. Another advantage of connecting with people doing the role that you're going for is potentially trying to link up for a field day. I've been mentoring a number of people trying to get into their first primary care or GP sales repping role. And often the hiring manager says, have you been on a field day? Do you actually know what this job entails? And in an interview, if you can say, yes, I have. This is who I reached out to. This is what we did at 9 a.m. This is what we did at midday. This is what we did in the afternoon. And this is what this person gave me as an overview for a week in the life, a month in the life. I know what I'm getting myself into is really the message you want to communicate to the hiring managers. And that brings me to my third piece around how to really convince the hiring manager you know what you're getting yourself into. And that's going to speak to your customer, who is a healthcare professional, whether it's your GP, whether it's your pharmacist, your nurse. Go and speak to them. And I would ask these 3 questions. Just bear in mind, doctors, pharmacists, nurses are super busy. So you want to keep your questions tight and succinct. The 3 questions I'd be asking are: number 1, where can a pharmaceutical company help you in your day-to-day role? Number 2, often the company you're working for has a disease or clinical area that they're focused on. So whether that's diabetes, hypertension, I would be asking the doctor or pharmacist, can you tell me about some challenges when managing patients with diabetes or hypertension or cardiovascular disease? A final question would be, what has made good pharmaceutical sales reps stand out for you? Now, another question that hiring managers like to ask when they're getting to know you for the first time is, why do you want to leave your current role? Or sometimes it's rephrased as, why do you want to come to Pharma? And I think it's really important you think about your why and answer this question tight and succinctly. For example, you might have been working in retail and you may say, whilst I've thoroughly enjoyed being part of a small business and increasing sales, one thing that's been really passionate to me is improving health outcomes for patients. If COVID has taught us anything, health is wealth. And being able to contribute to better health outcomes for Australians is something that I'm really passionate about. Often that is a big driver and a very reasonable motive for why people want to leave their existing industry, come into healthcare, come into pharmaceuticals. Now, if you want more inspiration on why I believe pharmaceutical sales is the dream role, click here. Otherwise, let's move on to part 2 of your first round interview process. Click here.